Yeah, I'll just have toast, dry.
I want 4 whole fried chicken and Coke.
Yeah. Whatever.
Hello. You might recognize me as Moreno, the reviewer who does the long different shows on YouTube. It's becoming more than I can keep up with at this point. And I'm here as a guest reviewer for the new show hosted by...
I'm the art science guy.
What are we going to be reviewing?
We're going to be reviewing the Blues Brothers movie.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so we'll be reviewing the extended cut, and by reviewing, of course, I mean going into a plot summary and mocking along the way. So, The Blues Brothers, directed in 1980 by John Landis, formerly of Kentucky Fried Movie, and of course National Lampoon's Animal House, where he worked with one of the stars of this film, John Belushi. The Blues Brothers themselves were based off of characters created by Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, which they used in Saturday Night Live, as well as on stage opening for people such as Steve Martin. They decided to make a film. But The Blues Brothers is one of my all-time favorite musicals. And you might be thinking, The Blues Brothers, a musical? Well, watch it again. In fact, it's sort of a blend of the sort of MGM and Warner Brothers musicals, you know, of the 30s. The film was originally intended to be shown as a 2.5-hour film that would be shown roadshow style, you know, going from theater to theater. It would be shown with an intermission so that people could, you know, get more of whatever they needed, popcorn, you know, have a smoke break, whatever. That plan didn't work because Universal, who was releasing the film, didn't want to release such a long film because they viewed it as a comedy as opposed to a musical. One might argue that this really wasn't the time for musicals in Hollywood anyway. I mean, despite the, you know, success of Grease a few years earlier, subsequent efforts such as One from the Heart and Xanadu weren't so successful, and even Spielberg, when he wanted to turn 1941 into a musical, Universal and Columbia wouldn't have any of this, so he just had to sort of accept that, you know, the musical was dead. Landis wouldn't accept that, and the film wasn't a big success. Thankfully, thanks to home video, the film has become a cult classic. Of course, the second film, Blues Brothers 2000, had yet to be embraced because it was awful. Tell us a little bit about the extended cut.
Well, the extended cuts, quite literally, the opening is extended. I mean, the opening is just like the opening for Blade Runner.
You mean with the, yeah. And I mean, now this opening just keeps going and going. I mean, it's like 2001 A Gel Odyssey long. So we are introduced to Jake Blue. He goes out and he meets up with his brother Elwood. They used to be members of this rhythm and blues review band, and it's always been Jake's hope this whole time in the Slammer that once he got out, they'd be able to reunite the band. The irony of Elwood picking him up is that he picks him up in a police car, and the nice thing about it is it has a cop suspension, cop tires, cop brakes, which for some reason gives it the ability to defy all logic. And it helps that the Bluesmobile sets the tone by taking a literal jump in logic at the beginning of the film.
Whenever Jake gets out of prison, he promised to visit the nun at their orphanage where they were raised, and they affectionately refer to the nun as the Penguin.
Sadly for all you Batman fans out there, the Penguin is not played by Burgess Meredith or Danny DeVito.
Well, I gotta say, the first case, it would have been pretty interesting to see. And the second case, it has been traumatizing to have been raised by that penguin.
Yes.
Yeah, they go and meet the penguin, and luckily the penguin sets the plot for the movie right here by explaining how the orphanage is in debt and the church is not going to pay for it, and she'll probably be sent to a missionary in like Africa or Korea or somewhere.
Yeah.
They offer to help her. She refuses because she knows that it's going to be stolen, and at this point Jake and Elwood do something really stupid and begin to swear to the nun, who begins to beat them furiously with a ruler.
See, people wonder why I don't swear in these reviews. Here's why. Ruler phobia. Thank you, crazy mystic nun. Then they meet up with Cab Calloway. Oh, that's really neat. Having a cameo from someone who's actually, you know, a blues singer. Oh, wait.
Yeah, they do that quite a lot.
Okay, never mind. He tells them that the best way for them to get churched up is to visit the Godfather of Soul himself at the Triple Rock Baptist Church. Which brings us to our first major musical number. After going to this church meeting, there's a bright light that shines on Jake, and it gives them the inspiration that they need to reassemble the band to raise the money. Elwood gets pulled over by the police, and since various things have expired, they're going to arrest him and impound his car. Well, they can't complete their mission if they're impounded because of the time limit on getting it to the Cook County Assessor's Office and such. So they start this big car chase, this one of many elaborate car chases in the film, and they drive into a mall. And the nice thing about this mall is that it allows them to get away with lots of product placement by just running it over. So at this point, they go back to Elwood's apartment, and we get the first of several appearances by Carrie Fisher. And if you fanboys out there ever want to see Prince Leia with a bazooka, here's your chance. Because she is out to kill them, and she will use any weapon she can get her hands on it. We see that trains are just passing by Elwood's apartment, and he says that it's so often you won't even notice. Sort of like the absurdity in the film.
And at this point, whenever Jake is worried about the police catching up with them, Elwood reveals that he's falsified his information so that his address is actually Wrigley's Field.
Right. Of course, John Candy is in the know about this and realizes that the police have been duped, so he helps them out. And now that the police have John Candy on their side, they know they mean business. Carrie Fisher destroys the place, and they just sort of walk away.
Yes, and of course, I have to ask, what was their childhood like that causes them to brush these attacks off like it never even happened? They get bazookas, flamethrowers, and even their apartment blown up, and they just walk away like nothing happened at all.
Well, they were raised by Danny DeVito.
Okay.
So now at this point, they start to hunt down their band in hopes of putting them together. First, they go after Murph and the Magic Tones.
You mean the SNL members that didn't warrant an actual individual scene?
Right. And they're just used for exposition. They're not even really used for comedy. Okay, so then they go to find one of their members, Mr. Fabulous. And I must say that the scene where they go to find him is indeed fabulous.
Congratulations. You just paired up the worst joke of this review with the best scene of this movie.
Well, granted, I mean, it is certainly one of the most memorable scenes in the film, you know, with the tossing of the rolls and such, and the bothering of the peoples behind them, with the rich, you know, people who are looking down upon them and such. But the scene does leave me with that lingering question: how much for the little girl? Yeah, hello? Yeah, this is M.A. Moreno. I see. Okay. Bye-bye. Apparently I'm going to appear on the next To Catch a Predator special.
Okay, let's move on to something a little less offensive, like, let's get back to the review. Now then, where were we at?
Oh, the Illinois Nazis are about to take a march.
Oh dear.
Now apparently these neo-Nazis learn everything they know from watching Hogan's Heroes, and they're quickly driven off the side of a bridge. Of course, they'll now also be pursuing them, the Blues Brothers. There'll be another threat. And the threats will start building as the film goes along, you know. But enough of that. We move on to them searching for Matt Guitar Murphy.